From the moment the idea surfaced, it refused to let go of the imagination. In Port Charles, death has always been flexible, more suggestion than certainty, and memory itself often bends under the weight of guilt and unfinished business. Lately, a new theory has begun to take shape among those who watch closely, one that whispers rather than shouts. Peter August might still be alive, not as a rumor passed casually, but as a possibility woven carefully into what viewers have already seen, felt, and questioned. The story does not begin with proof or revelation. It begins with Anna Devane standing face to face with a man she watched die, or at least believed she did. When Peter appeared before Anna, the show made it clear that this was an illusion. Anna's mind, battered by trauma and regret, conjured his image as a reflection of her own inner torment. She saw him because she could never truly escape what happened between them. Yet illusion or not, the moment carried weight. Scenes like that are not filmed in a vacuum. An actor does not appear on screen unless he is physically there, performing, breathing life into the memory. This alone has fueled quiet speculation that Wes Ramsey has returned behind the scenes, even if only briefly. The question then becomes not whether Anna imagined Peter, but why the show chose to place him in front of her again, with such intensity and care. That choice matters because General Hospital rarely does anything without planting seeds. Anna's hallucination was not a throwaway moment meant only to underline her fragile state. It lingered. It unsettled. It reopened wounds that were supposed to have scarred over. For Anna, Peter represents the sum of her failures as much as her victories. She is a spy who survived decades of danger. Yet she could not save him, or perhaps chose not to. In her darkest moments, that line blurs. Did she abandon Peter to die, or did she finally stop protecting a monster? That unresolved question is exactly what makes him dangerous even in death. If Peter were truly gone, his role in Anna's story would be finished. The guilt would fade into background noise, another ghost among many. But instead, he returns to her mind with clarity and menace. He does not appear weak or broken. He appears confident, observant, and disturbingly present. That is why fans have begun to hope and fear in equal measure. Hope for the return of a villain who understands psychological warfare better than anyone else in Port Charles. Fear because if Peter is alive, then nothing that followed his supposed death can be taken at face value. The idea of Peter surviving is not far-fetched in this world. His death happened off balance, in chaos, and with enough ambiguity to allow doubt. Bodies disappear. Medical miracles and conspiracies overlap. If anyone could slip through the cracks and wait patiently, it would be Peter. Survival would not be his triumph alone. It would be the opening move in a long and calculated game of revenge. If Peter is alive and watching from the shadows, Anna would be his primary target. Their history is too personal, too violent, to ignore. Peter never saw Anna as a misguided ally or even a complicated adversary. In his mind, she was the architect of his suffering. She was the one who finally stopped protecting him, the one who let him fall. That kind of resentment does not fade. It ferments. One of the most chilling possibilities is that Peter was behind Anna's recent kidnapping. Sidwell did not have to act alone. He could have been hired, manipulated, or guided by someone who understood exactly how to break Anna without leaving fingerprints. Physical pain has never been Anna's greatest weakness. She can endure that. What undoes her is psychological pressure, isolation, and the feeling that she is losing her grip on reality. If Peter ordered Sidwell to abduct her, the goal would not have been information or ransom. It would have been punishment. Keeping Anna in a state between waking and dreaming would be the ultimate cruelty. Drugging her, depriving her of rest, forcing her mind to loop through fear and guilt until hallucinations take over. In that state, Peter would not even need to show himself physically. He would live inside her head, just as he appeared in her visions. Every time she saw his face, every time she heard his voice, the line between past and present would erode. That would be Peter's revenge. Slow, intimate, and deeply personal. Yet Anna would not be the only piece on the board. Peter has never been content with a single victim. He thrives on chaos that spreads, on damage that ripples outward and affects everyone connected to his enemy. That is where Willow enters the picture, not as a coincidence, but as a potential pawn. Willow has long been seen as a moral center, someone defined by compassion and resilience. But even the strongest minds can be reshaped under the right pressure. The theory that Peter has been influencing Willow for some time is unsettling precisely because it explains so much. Her recent behavior has felled off, disconnected from the woman viewers believe they knew. Choices that once seemed unthinkable now appear plausible. Emotional boundaries blur. Judgment falters. The tarot cards are the key to this theory. They're not just props or quirky symbols. In Peter's hands, they become tools. Over time, repetition and suggestion can condition a person to associate certain images with certain emotions or commands. If Peter has been using the cards to manipulate Willow, the process would not be obvious. It would be gradual, subtle. She would believe her thoughts were her own, even as they were being nudged in darker directions. This kind of mind control fits Peter perfectly. He has always preferred indirect power. He does not need to force someone physically if he can guide them mentally. If Willow has been under his influence, it would explain her affair with Drew not as a moment of weakness, but as a calculated fracture. Peter would know that betraying Michael would cause immense fallout. Families would split. Loyalties would be tested. Pain would spread. Drew himself cannot be ignored in this equation. His history with mind control is well established. And while Victor ultimately failed to dominate him, that does not mean Drew is fully free. Victor's death closed one chapter, but it did not guarantee healing. Mental conditioning can leave residue, cracks that another manipulator could exploit. Peter, unlike Victor, does not rush. He studies. He waits for the right moment to push. It is entirely possible that Peter never stopped influencing Drew, or that he reactivated something Victor began. Drew's actions, his vulnerability, and his connection to Willow could all be part of a larger design. If both of them are compromised, then their relationship becomes less about romance and more about collision. Two manipulated minds drawn together to serve someone else's agenda. At some point, control grows dull for someone like Peter. He does not want obedient puppets forever. He wants spectacle. When the time comes, he could turn Willow against Drew, twisting affection into hostility. That shift would not only devastate them both, but also shock everyone around them. Friends and family would struggle to understand how love transformed into betrayal and rage. The answer would remain hidden, buried beneath layers of manipulation. All of this hinges on one terrifying question. Is Peter alive? No one in Port Charles can say for sure. That uncertainty is what makes the theory so powerful. The signs are there, but nothing is confirmed. The show invites viewers to sit with discomfort, to re-examine recent events through a different lens. If Peter is truly gone, then Anna's hallucinations are simply the echo of trauma. Willow's choices are her own. Drew's past is finally behind him. But if Peter lives, then nothing is random. Everything is connected. The possibility of his return injects new tension into every scene. Every quiet moment becomes suspicious. Every emotional turn might be engineered. That is the mark of a great villain, one who reshapes the story even in absence. Peter does not need to be seen to be felt. His influence would be everywhere, like a shadow stretching across lives that thought they were safe. In the end, the theory does more than speculate about a character's survival. It reframes the narrative. It asks viewers to consider how deeply manipulation can run, and how fragile certainty really is in Port Charles. Whether Peter steps fully back into the light or remains a ghost pulling strings from the dark, his presence changes the stakes. For Anna, it means confronting the past she tried to bury. For Willow and Drew, it means questioning their own minds. And for everyone watching, it means waiting with equal parts dread and anticipation for the moment when truth finally breaks through illusion. Until that moment comes, the story holds its breath. Hope and fear exist side by side. The door remains slightly open. And somewhere, either in reality or in the imagination of those he scarred, Peter August may still be smiling, already planning his next move.